What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker here on Unique Access Entertainment. A lot of people are talking about this new Clipse album, Let God Sort 'Em Out. So I wanted to jump on a live real quick and get going because this album seems to be the talk of the internet, and I wanted to get it documented. My thoughts, Let God Sort 'Em Out. I'd say is a triumphant return on so many levels for the Clipse. Definitely hit me in the chat. I'll do my best to respond to all comments that I can as we're going. But let God sort them out. Produced by Pharrell, great material from Pusha T and Malice. Glad to see them back together collaborating. And let's get into the first song. I'm gonna go song by song throughout the album and make this happen. Lawrence V, what's going on? Good to see you in the chat. So, The Birds Don't Sing is the first song on the God Sort 'Em Out, and I would say it's probably my favorite. I think it's phenomenally powerful. In the first verse, Pusha T is talking about the loss of his and no Malice's or his and Malice's mother. Yes, we're seeing the 78, hoping to get Brother Lynch back on the show as well. I had two great interviews with him, and we got a lot coming up on Unique Access, so appreciate you tuning in to support us. But The Birds Don't Sing talks about not being able to function. Pusha T in the first verse due to the loss of his mother. What's up, Delic Malroy? Malroy, good to see you as always, man. And you know, Pusha T talks about saying he was tired but not ready to go. Basically, was dying without letting me know. And this is extremely powerful because um, Hit You Met Chord. The album is okay. I like 3 songs so far. Well, I'm interested to see what you think as we discuss the album because The Birds Don't Sing is the first song on Let God Sort 'Em Out. It's also my favorite. But probably my favorite. I love that you met Nige's son. Hate that he won't remember you. So dealing with the loss of a parent, thankfully, is something I haven't had to go through yet. But everybody, unfortunately, dies, of course. Um, but I think the power of these verses and the power of this song make The Birds Don't Sing phenomenal and an excellent way to start off the album. Malice talks about the loss of his and Pusha T's father in the second verse. So we ain't dead, you ain't let her go alone, referring to his dad passing after his mom. And there's a L in every lesson. I think it's amazing. His father told him, "Let your mess become your message," and I think that's something that Malice does throughout. Let God sort him out is using the mess of his past and of his famous drug dealing that they talk about throughout the album. It's your Medcore. I think The Birds Don't Sing is my favorite song. As I'm talking about that one right now, his father made sure he had every base covered, so imagine him paying finding base in the cupboard. And I think that's one of the great things Malice in particular, to a lesser degree, Pusha T does throughout Let God Sort 'Em Out, is really talk about this pain, reflection, disappointment of the drug dealing past, something that they both reconciled similarly and differently throughout their respective careers, both as members of the Clipse and solo releases. But Malice, of course, I think has done a deeper dive into this, more reflective and more personal, and especially the pain that he suffered throughout it. And Malice also talks about how I love my 2 sons was the code in his father's phone that he discovered after his father had passed. So right there, that's a shocking, very powerful way to end his verse and end the song in a lot of ways. And Kitchen meant for, yeah, that's a very powerful song. The Birds Don't Sing. John Legend is on there as well. I think he adds a nice element to it. But now let's get on to Change the Whips featuring Kendrick Lamar, which a lot of people I'm sure are talking about, and I've seen talking about because Kendrick Lamar is on there. Pusha T really is going at Jim Jones quite a bit on this song. I'm watching your fame escape relevance, which is interesting too because Jim Jones has obviously been around for a while. He's in a lot of talk. with a lot of people because he's saying he's bigger than Nas or more important or more relevant than Nas and all that. But I would argue Jim Jones is not in any way, in my opinion. But you know, that's my opinion. What do you guys think in the chat? I'm very interested to see what you think. But as we get on to the rest of Chains and Whips, moving on in the song, I really liked Malice. What he has is Bubbles reference for The Wire, one of my favorite, if not my favorite shows of all time. So that was great. And I also appreciated Malice's reference to The Revenant. Great movie talking about the snow and thriving in those conditions, which I thought was a nice reference. And then we get into Kendrick Lamar's verse, and he's dissing Drake, of course. But one of the things that I found as I listened to Let God Sort 'Em Out and as I looked at times for some of the annotations on Genius, I think are hilarious. 'Cause all these people are saying, I don't know what this means, but I think it might mean this, and it might have 5 or 6 layers and 5 or 6 different meanings and this and that. Sometimes they miss obvious meanings and they're going into some esoteric metaphysical ones that may or may not even make sense. So I think that's ridiculous, but I guess that's part of the fun of being an annotator and not verified on Genius. But I thought my favorite passage from Kendrick was to show up at your gender reveal and tell him, give me mine, my son brothers. I thought that was hilarious, incredible wordplay, and shows why Kendrick's definitely an elite artist, one of the best of all time, and phenomenal there. So definitely shout out the wordplay from all three on Chains and Whips. With P.O.V, I thought Pusha T has done and continues to do throughout his career, incredible drug wordplay with the Falcon and Willie Falcone, all these different references and things that he adds. I thought were pretty crazy and wild. Uh, Tyler, the creator, I thought had a hilarious line with the Tricky Brothers puzzle me. I thought that was hilarious. There's a beat change when Malice was on. I thought was pretty amazing and how he came back for the money. That's the devil in me. And that's what I really appreciated about Malice's performance throughout Let God Sort Him Out is his duality of understanding what he's doing, coming back, and I would argue rapping about this drug dealing and the drug history, and obviously his remorse toward it, but then in some regards glorifying it if you look at it in that regard as well. Other ones, So Be It, of course, people have talked about this song a lot. Keep it brief on this one. I did really appreciate the belly reference from Pusha T. Um, some of the annotations and people I've seen talking about that online, I thought was hilarious. But then other type of lines, Pusha, of course, is really great for us, because brothers that I'm with like to draw when it's sketchy, which is another one of those lines, of course, double, triple meanings. But I think that type of imagery is what makes rap so powerful and what makes Pusha T and the Clipse and a lot of the great lyricists so powerful and meaningful. Evolves and means different things at different times or different meanings all the time. There's another song, So Be It, that some of these genius annotations I thought were hilarious when I checked on them. But the Travis Scott disses are flying fast and furious in So Be It. So if you're up on that beef, I'm enjoyed hearing that. Moving on with Ace Trumpets, definitely feel like Pusha T's wordplay again, immaculate throughout his verse and Malice, one of my favorite lines of his, perhaps on all of Let God Sort Him Out, is when he said, drugs killed my teen spirit. Welcome to Nirvana. I thought that one was amazing on so many levels, playing off the title, the single, Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana, Nirvana the group. And then, of course, if you want, you could look into that saying Kurt Cobain with his suicide. And then, of course, sadly, a lot of people dying due to drugs or suicide or depression or what have you. So that line and that little part of Ace Trumpets by Malice, I thought was incredible. As far as all things considered, Pusha T again laments the loss of his parents with the Birds Don't Sing reference, kind of how he did there, but on all things considered, talks about my mama's cheek. I miss it. I want to kiss it. Thought that was rather poignant and powerful and something that, you know, everybody would miss somebody that they love dearly, as of course he did with his mom, as he details there. Malice, I think, shines throughout this song, All Things Considered, and he has several phenomenal lines. My homies that didn't die was all in prison, visits behind the glass, my mirror image. That one right there is a startling thing and just shows, as they talk about elsewhere, by the grace of God, that and Pusha T were able to escape being incarcerated and serving this time like some of their friends and fellow drug runners did. So that was an amazing thing. Made my exit just to make my entrance revolving door. Maybe I can make a difference. Another time that I think Malice showed his internal war with himself about coming back and getting on the coke rap uh, thing, but doing it in a way that shows the pitfalls of it. That I think that Malice in particular does a great job of throughout. Let God sort him out, because on the one hand, you could say he's glorifying it, but throughout, like I'd say, a lot of the great street rap, a lot of the great stuff that involves gangster rap, it's not glorification. It's really showing the two sides of the coin. Like, yeah, you can get the money. Yeah, you can get the girls. Yeah, you can get the cars. But Malice, on All Things Considered and throughout, Let God Sort Him Out, really details the pitfalls that come with the game and what's really going to happen to you if you go down this path. And he details that here in the All Things Considered verse, which I thought was pretty powerful. This is actually one of the songs, All Things Considered, even though I thought Malice was great on it, I didn't particularly think that beat was one of the better ones. So that was a little disappointing, but like the song nonetheless, primarily for the lyrics. Mike Tyson blow to the face, I thought was great. Malice had another one of my favorite lines on there: deep glass in my ears, now let me see you bite it, referring to Mike Tyson getting his ear bit, I'm sure. And then also diamonds in the earring in his ears and all that type of stuff. So lots of great wordplay there. Another great one, E.B.I.T.D.A, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Another one, I thought, it's a lot of clever boasting about money and drugs. The other thing about it that I thought was hilarious, that of course, if you're a for real drug dealer, you're not going to be getting loans and going to banks and all this stuff. If you're using purely drug proceeds, it's a little more difficult, I would imagine, at this point in the game, but clever nonetheless. FICO, F.I.C.O in there. I really liked another Wire reference, this one from Malice. Every stringer bell just needs an Avon who won't sweep it under the rug. I think that's one of the cool things that plays out throughout Let God Sort Them Out, that you have the balance of the Pusha T and the Malice. Pusha T's still rapping and living as if he's doing all this high-end super international drug kingpin stuff, whereas Push or Malice is much more on the reflective, thoughtful side of it, and showing the balance and the dichotomy of that life, just as The Wire did in a lot of ways, especially through the Stringer Barrel and the Avon Barksdale characters, which I thought was great, and you know, a great reference. Inglorious Bastards opens with a snippet of Jesse Jackson. That one I thought was interesting, not one of my favorites, but so far ahead. I really enjoyed with Malice ushering the money, my confession. Great reference to Usher, church, Usher's Confessions album, all kinds of layers, all kinds of different things going on there, which I thought Malice did a great job in. And he also talks about his duality here again. I done been both Mason Bethas. I done been at both intersections. And I think, as I've said, this is one of the great things about Malice's performance in particular on Let God Sort Him Out. I just think that he does a great job of showing the pitfalls of the game, his regrets, his remorse, his frustration with himself, and also looking back at what's going on in the world. Let God Sort Him Out, Chandeliers. Man, when Nas comes in, great beat change, and one of my favorite parts of the album, because it just has that excitement and that level of, oh man, what's about to happen. And Nas, I think, does not disappoint, although some of his I'd say conclusions are a little shaky at times, but nonetheless, phenomenal material from Nas, as usual. And then we get By the Grace of God. Um, First verse, Malice, I think again shines through the song, and he talks about being lucky to escape the burning buildings he kept running in, was stuck, drawn by the allure of the money. And this is, of course, the timeless, endless thing of the drug dealer remorse, or the people that do have a conscience that are doing this, that they realize on the one hand they're getting this fame and this money and this prestige, but at the other hand they're destroying their community, destroying people's lives, and some, of course, are destroying people that they know directly or indirectly through this dealing stuff. So that, and I think this, toward the end of the album, this is also where Pusha T, I think it's his most reflective look at his coke life and some of the ramifications of it, which I thought was powerful and a good way to kind of bring the album full circle, in a sense, of breaking down what he did and how it affected people negatively. So that's why I think when you're going to talk about street stuff and you're going to talk about, on the one hand, glorifying it, on the other hand, whenever you can then go back and talk about some of the horrors that you may have inflicted upon others and your benefit through doing so, I think is remarkable. And I think Pusha T does that here on By the Grace of God. Now, appreciate everybody that hit me up in the chat. Lawrence V, Seamless 78, Derek Malroy, Hakim Medcore. Thanks for checking in with me on the chat. What do you guys think about Let God Sort Them Out? Definitely hit me in the comments section. Either myself or someone at Unique Access will get back to you. Definitely appreciate the support, checking us out here on us live. I'll be doing more of these and getting more into it. But what do you guys think? I'd say The Birds Don't Sing is my favorite song. Daryl Malroy, what's your favorite song? And thanks for checking in as always. Always great to see you. But yeah, I just think it's amazing stuff, man. Glad to see the clips. Glad to see all these great albums coming out by these artists that have been in the game for a minute. And the clips are yet another one showing that rap is not just for a young man's sport. This is for people that are good, people that are great, and people who are sustaining themselves, well into their third decade of making music, which I think benefits the music, benefits the culture, benefits them. Uh, are you just reacting to anything Spelly Jr.? Well, I'm reacting to Let God Sort Them Out. I'm giving my review. If you missed all of that here, you can go back and watch the video, which will be on Unique Access Entertainment. So, if you have any specific songs before we go, Spelly Jr., you want me to talk about, I'd be happy to. I went through each song and Let God Sort Them Out, gave my input or my feedback on all of them. My favorite is The Birds Don't Sing, the first song. So, just a very powerful song and dealing with loss, which I think is something that we all sadly have to go through in similar and different ways throughout our lives. And I thought that both Pusha T and Malice, talking about their mother and father respectively, did a really great job of that on The Birds Don't Sing. So Chandeliers, Delic Malroy, that's your favorite song. I hear that. I think Nas, again, is remarkable on there. And I feel that Nas is just showing yet again why he's one of the best that ever did it. If you haven't checked it out, I did a video. You can find it on Unique Access Entertainment of why I think Nas deserves more respect. This is some I put out during a release of Lost Tapes 2. So obviously it's been several years now, but I think everything I said still applies. And I think it's probably only deeper now because Nas just keeps putting out phenomenal material and keeps showing why he's, viewed as one of the supreme lyricists of all time. So that's that. Couple bangers. Ross Grifthart is saying like three or so. So which ones do you like, Ross? Because my favorite for sure is The Birds Don't Sing. I'm not sure what some of my other favorites are, but I do like Chains and Whips. I do like Let God Sort 'Em Out / Chandeliers. Um, I really think that Malice is great on Let God Sort Him Out, and I'm glad that he's come back with a fury. Hell hath no fury like Malice return, I guess. But I do feel that it's a lot of great stuff. And Hitchum Medcore, uh, what made you think that the album is just okay? Because I definitely think certain songs are just okay, but I'd say a lot of it is rather stellar. So if you guys let me know, definitely look forward to talking with you about it. Raw Script Heart. If you got any ones you wanted to mention before I go, I definitely think Change and Whips is great. Kendrick Lamar, of course, is excellent on there. But overall, I was just glad to see this album getting a lot of attention. I'm glad to see it doing well on Spotify. I think that bodes well for putting out albums with the marketing campaign, with them doing interviews, the clips, with them being out and about and not just this secret thing. Mike Tyson Blow to the Face is your favorite Raw Script Heart. I talked about that one a lot. D Class in My Ears. Now let me see you bite it. Malice's line referencing the, I assume, the diamonds in his ear and the belly uh, stuff. I just think that was one of my favorite lines, dealing with the Mike Tyson with the biting. Good afternoon, Soren from Soy Sauce. Good to see you, man, as always. And Soy Sauce, do you have any favorites on Let God Sort Them Out? I definitely thought that The Birds Don't Sing starts off the album great. We got a few others. Derek Malroy likes Chandeliers. Ross Grifthart likes Mike Tyson Blow to the Face. So we got three songs right there that people seem to be really enjoying. But what about you? Before we go, definitely want to get your insight as always, Soy Sauce. And thanks for your steady support. Lawrence V, thank you. Seamless78, thank you. Derek Malroy, thank you. Hitchum Medcore, thank you. Spelly Jr., thank you. Ross Grifthart, appreciate you guys watching. Soy Sauce as well. And yeah, it's a lot going on. So, but The Birds Don't Sing, I think, can go down as one of those potential best rap songs of the year. Extremely powerful, dealing with Pusha T and Malice talking about the loss of their parents, with Pusha T starting off the song with losing his mom, and Malice talking about the death of their father, which I thought it's a very, very, very powerful song and something that I think the more you listen to it, the more profound and meaningful I think that you'll find it. Soy Sauce, what you got, man? You said you got some favorite tracks. Let's hear them before we wrap it up here on this reaction that I had to the Clipses. Let God Sort Them Out. Definitely a potent project. Glad to see Pharrell doing well on the beats. Most of them I thought were top tier. I liked a lot of the beat changes on there. I liked some of the unorthodox things that Pharrell does as a signature, and the fact that he's reinventing his sound time and time again, I think is definitely warranted, or excuse me, needed, and warrants why that he's still an in-demand producer, one of the better ones. Pharrell and the sampling on this album. Yeah, Ross, he's definitely got that going on. One of the things that I liked was on the Inglorious Bastard songs, opening with that snippet of Jesse Jackson speaking, I thought was interesting and a nice placement there. So, yeah, but I think Pharrell definitely did a great job. And I think 2025, we got to look. There's a lot of albums from great artists that have been putting in work for a while. Exhibit put out a great album with Kingmaker. Juicy J and Logic put out a great album. Richard by Richie Rich is a great album. I interviewed Richie Rich on the channel here. You can check out the playlist I did with him to check out all the interviews. I've interviewed Exhibit multiple times on the channel. Juicy J, of course, I did the book with Chronicles of the Juice Man. So that's great. We got Redman, we got Wu Tang and Mathematics with the Black Samson album. Put out a great album in 2025. Definitely check for those interviews on Unique Access if you haven't seen them already. Boz and the Hicks did a great album this year. So there's just a lot of great stuff going. Chuck D, Ross Grifthart, definitely always putting it down. So there's just a lot of great music coming out from a lot of the artists that we love and that we've loved since the 80s, the 90s, or even the 2000s. And they keep putting out this great music. So I'm just imploring you guys to sample, stream, go see them in concert, what have you, so that they stay in the game. All right, Soy Sauce. Chains and Whips and Inglorious Bastards are your two favorites. So Chains and Whips, my favorite parts I talked about. I really appreciated the Bubbles line from Malice with the reference to The Wire. Kendrick Lamar, the showing up at the gender reveal is probably my favorite stuff on there. And Inglorious Bastards, like I said, I really like the Jesse Jackson uh, sample on there. So yeah, it's a lot of good stuff, y'all. So I'm about to wrap it up, but I really appreciate you guys checking in with me. I'm going to be doing more lives when the time is right, and you guys watching and supporting them makes me want to do more. So thank y'all. Really appreciate it. Hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you think of Let God Sort Them Out by the Clipse, and also definitely subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely become a member. Support us that way if you can on Unique Access Entertainment. And now that we've got more than 50,000 subscribers, please tell a friend so we can hit that 100,000 subscriber mark sooner than later. Ross Griftar, peace. Appreciate the support. And I'll catch you guys next time on Unique Access.